Hi everybody, my name is Melissa and welcome back to my writing channel, Hopeful Happenings. Today we're talking 5 simple tricks to writing better picture books. Okay, so the first tip we're talking about is so easy and yet it can make a humongous difference in your book. It is rewriting your story in a different point of view. So just to recap, there are 3 point of views. There's third person, second person, and first person. I think a lot of authors or aspiring authors who start writing picture books, they get into the habit of writing these books in third person. And in a lot of stories it works, but in some you would be really missing out on an opportunity to connect with the reader by keeping it in third person. So by switching, if your book is written in third person and switching to rewrite it in first person, for example, then that would possibly be a great idea. Sometimes you've written a first person book instead and it needs to be third person. Second person is where we talk directly to the reader, so it's not as common and there's a bigger chance that you know going into writing the book that you want it to be that way. For example, if you were to create a book that's telling the reader how to do something like how to clean your room or how to bake a cake, then you would say, put the bread in the oven or put your clothes in the hamper. But I want to read you a story that I have here, and I'm going to show you just kind of how it feels to experiment with 2 different perspectives. So you can try to guess what the real perspective is. All her friends have pet monsters, and she wants one too. It's not fair. She tells her dad that she wants a monster. Please, please, pretty please, she says. A monster? You don't have room for a monster, he says. Okay, so that was third person. Now let's reread it again in a different point of view. Let's say first person now. All my friends have pet monsters, and I want one too. It's not fair. I tell Papa I want a monster. Please, please, pretty please. Do you see that the first person is a little more connected to the reader than third person? It is actually written in first person. It's called I Want a Monster, and I think that's exactly what works for this story. Another book I have here is called Boom Snot Twitty, This Way That Way, and it's a story about 3 characters all trying to decide which way to go. So if this one is written in third person, but if it was written in first person, then it would be a lot harder to be unbiased in the decisions because you would be only hearing the story from one person's perspective. So this one does really work as third person so that it's an unbiased, just a book about a bunch of friends kind of figuring out where to go. And then this book right here, this book is Magic, is second person, and I honestly don't think this could be made in any other way. This is the kind of book where you talk directly to the reader, and it's a book about magic, so it says like, wave your finger high above your head and say, Gonzo ship. So the kid will do that, and then it says, nicely done, you made the ship go away. Even if you are positive you have picked the right perspective right off the bat, try experimenting with a different point of view just for fun. You may realize that you actually do need to switch it over to something else because something else does sound more powerful. Or maybe switching to a different point of view will help you just be reassured that you picked the right one in the first place. Okay, my writing tip number 2 is that you experiment with writing a different style of a book. You may not have realized, but there are so many different kinds of picture books. I've actually done a video that covers a lot of these types of picture books, so I'll put that video in the description box so you can check it out. But some examples are concept books, historical, counting books, ABC books, bedtime books, nursery rhymes, and there are even more than that. So you'll definitely want to check out that video so that you know all the different kinds of picture books. And I probably didn't even get them all because it sort of depends on your perspective. But with all these different kinds of picture books, it would really be a benefit for you to experiment writing your story in these different ways. So let's say you wrote a typical bedtime story book. Well, can you rewrite it in a different way? Perhaps a counting book, or perhaps using real facts that you can throw in there. I was just at a SCBWI conference with a picture book author, and he wrote a really cool alien bedtime story, and he also included facts about space in the back of the book. And his name is Rob Sanders, if you want to check him out. Play with different types of books. You never know what creations might come from it. Okay, number 3, the simple trick to creating a better picture book is to experiment once again, but this time with figurative language. I want to be very clear that rhyming books, although they can be so amazing, I think they're so much harder to get right. That's probably why a lot of agents and editors encourage you not to write rhyming books, just because they've found that a lot of people will add unnecessary words to the story just to make the rhyme. You don't have to have a rhyming picture book for it to sound really good. Experiment with things like alliteration, assonance, consonants, foreshadowing, golden threads. Golden threads is like where you have one sort of theme and you've threaded it throughout the story, like a word or a phrase. Internal dialogue, metaphors, onomatopoeia, and there are even more. Researching all the different kinds of ways that you can explore your writing through figurative language and literary devices is not only going to improve your writing, but it's also going to open up new doors to stories that you may not have thought about originally. If you'd like me to do a video that talks more in depth about these literary devices and figurative language, then let me know in the comments below. But moving on, number 4, the simple trick that I have for you to creating a better picture book is to pitch the book. Pitching the book is definitely a way that you can narrow down what it is your book is actually about. Some people like to do the pitch first and then work from it. Other people like to write the story first and then pitch after. I think for novels, I found that pitching the idea first to yourself is a lot easier. But for children's book, these picture books are so short that it seems a lot easier, for me at least, to just write the story and get it out and then go back and focus it more fully as I'm editing. So in order to pitch the book to yourself or to anyone else, get a piece of paper and write down what your story is about using 1 to 2 sentences only. Imagine this is what's on Amazon when they're describing the book and people are looking to see if they want to buy it. Pitching will focus your writing and help you cut all the elements of the story that don't need to be there. Number 5, my last simple trick in writing better picture books is very similar to number 4. It's to take another piece of paper and write down what it is that is the heart of your story. What is your story really about? There's going to be 2 stories here. There's the outside story of like all the action. Sally walked to school and Sally walked home and she saw a bug and whatever. But what the story is really about, what the heart of the story is friendship, love, accepting others. Tell us what it is. It's actually usually called a theme too. Do you know what your story is really about? Or did you think it was just Sally going here and there and there? There's always more. There's always another level. You don't have to be super like heavy-handed on this. We're not teaching the kids moral lessons here, but there's always going to be more to a story. And this is true not just in picture books. This is true in all books, fiction books. See if you can write down what the heart of your story is in 1 word. Can you do it? Well, there you go. Those are my 5 simple tricks in helping you create better picture books. If you like this video, then please give it a thumbs up and comment below which of these 5 that you found the most helpful. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a week of writing content. I post once a week on YouTube and I post daily on Instagram, sharing more writing tips there as well as more of my personal writing journey. So we'll see you in the next video. Bye.